What happens when a Puerto Rican powerhouse walks into a boardroom and builds a sales pipeline from scratch? Hmm, you bet. She has proven that relationships are the strategy that matters. And today in the podcast, we're going to talk about warmth as a strategy, how Caribbean roots shape this amazing woman, leadership, and sales success. Don't go anywhere. Welcome to a brand new season of Leading Intentionally. And this time it's personal. This is the Latina Edition, a bold, unapologetic celebration of Latina leaders who are breaking barriers, building legacies, and leading with corazón. Each week, I'm going to sit down with powerhouse mujeres who've made their mark across industries, from boardrooms to startups. And we're going to go deep, not just into their careers, but also their mindset, our culture, and the courage to take to lead intentionally in spaces where we haven't been invited. If you ever felt like the only one in the room, like you had to work twice as hard to get half of the credit, if you have to stay calladita, this season is for you. It is time to rise, my friend, to shine, to lead on your own terms. Bienvenida. Let's go. Welcome to this new season of Leading Intentionally. Today, I have a powerhouse, as I promised. Her name is Trudy Leal. She's a seasoned sales leader and business strategist with over 20 years of experience driving growth across medical, technology, senior care, and startup sectors. She was raised in Puerto Rico. She brings a globally informed relationship first approach to leadership, leveraging warmth, curiosity, and strategic questioning to open doors and build trust quickly. Known for her ability to ignite momentum and build strong sales pipelines from scratch, Trudy helps companies connect with the right people, craft compelling narratives, and position themselves for scalable success. Welcome to the show, Trudy.
Hi, Carmen, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien. So excited to have you here as the first guest of this new season.
That's exciting. Thank you for letting me go first.
So I always like to start my podcast with your story, right? I want everyone to know, who are you with your own words, and how did you end up here as a powerhouse, successful Latina leader?
So, I am the child of two Dominican immigrants, and we have Puerto Rican blood in our line as well. And then I grew up in Puerto Rico. And it was really there that I learned that I had magical powers in just carrying on my culture, right? To be able to find success in my career. I was raised by Alfredo and Sunilda Castillo, and Alfredo was like so driven. My father ended up being a VP of Latin America for really large companies that pretty much everybody knows the names of. And watching him do that, watching him lead as a strong Latino man, really was instrumental in me understanding that I could do it too. I was raised as one of three girls, and my father really tried to raise us like boys. He tried to raise us with independence in mind, believing that we could do anything, never said, you're not allowed in the boardroom. We were always told that we could do anything we set our minds to, no matter what. And so that really was the beginning of what made me me. And I'll tell you, the most interesting part of how I ended up in sales is that in third grade, I got a magazine called Mad Magazine, and I don't even think they make it anymore, Carmen. But in the back, there was...
Let's not tell them our
I know,
age.
right? I'm tan vieja, pero... And in the back, it had a way for kids to sell and make money. And it was selling greeting cards and wrapping paper by a company called Olympia. And I think the company's still around. They're out of Connecticut. And I started selling door to door. And I got my first check. I bought my first skateboard. My parents were like, how is Trudy getting a check? I was in third grade. And I realized then that if I knocked on enough doors and I was kind enough and honest enough and transparent enough, I would get people to say yes more often than not.
Wow. That's really powerful. And I want to dig into the mindset of that, because I know that selling, it's the el talón de Achilles, right, of many people.
Mhm.
I am going to be completely transparent. It's not my favorite thing to do. I don't do it, right? Funny, because my mom was the country manager for Mercedes Benz, a big company in Panama. So she can sell
Anything.
talk to like a poor person. Like it's, I didn't get that right. But like, what is the mindset that goes behind creating, a successful sales pipeline?
For me, and I've gone from field to field. So I've started in sales, like medical sales, like my career sales. I did appliances with Whirlpool, and I did very well there. And then from there, I went to gastroenterology. Then I
Mm.
went to cardiology. Then I went to own a restaurant. Then I went back to gastroenterology. I went into drug testing, and now I'm in senior health, like senior healthcare with health tech. All of them I've been successful in, every single one. So
Mhm.
it's not about your background and what you know. I think it's what we have inside already if we love to sell and we love to build relationships.
Mhm.
For me, building a pipeline is about being extremely inquisitive, being a really great archaeologist when you get information on a client, and digging down deep to find the gems that will create not one sale, but multiple, right?
Right.
You can be
Right.
excited about one sale. That's great. Good for you. You made one sale to that customer. Let's talk about repeat business, right? Because that is really what builds that pipeline. And for me, that's where I found the most success. And when I go into building a pipeline in a field that I don't know, that I'm not aware of, I don't have any connections in, it's really about being very authentic and being extremely curious,
Mhm. Mhm.
a lot of questions and reaching out to learn from people. And from there, making those people sometimes customers or them leading you to your next big sale.
Absolutely. I find that, building that trust, that relationship authentically, right? Because every time you
Mhm.
pretend to be something that you're not, it just comes off wrong. Is
Agreed.
one of the most important things, right? And sometimes, like for me, I have learned that detachment from the conversation, right? Like
Mm.
sometimes, like when you and I met, there was,
Yeah.
we just met, right? Like, and then it was instant connection and support for each other. And it's not like you're my client or I'm your client, but we're here to support each other, and that's all it matters.
Yeah.
And so I think when you detach yourself from like, I'm only going to talk to someone if I'm going to make a sale. It just taking all the beauty out of it, because you might just find a friend, or you might find your next referral, or who knows, down the road you might find a client, and who knows.
Mhm.
And I have to tell you, when I read the the title that you want to talk about, I was so excited. I mean, there was so much energy going through my body because I love it. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is so clever. And I can see it because when I met you, I felt the warmth.
Mm.
Let's
Thank
talk about that, the warmth as a strategy.
Yeah. So it's so funny. I'll start with this. I was in a company and it was my first female boss. And by saying that, she's probably going to know who she is because she's
Hi.
my first and only female boss. Hey. And in a meeting with the CEO and the head of the home and all these executives within our company, she kind of joked and said, "Oh, yeah, we know Trudy. She just wants to make friends with everybody." And it's funny because above me, above my desk, are tons of awards. And in my closet, there's over 50 that I don't even put up because I'm like, whatever. I like the shiny glass ones. So those are the ones I keep in here. Um, but it's a strategy that's worked for me. And I don't think that we need to belittle it, right? And that it's not about making friends, but it's a making authentic like connections. And I think that what she taught me, she was a white woman, is that I don't have to hide who I am, mi cultura, mi lenguaje, mi sabor de Latina, because I feel that if anything, it gives me a cutting edge against other people. It really does. And I used to hide it, make myself more diminutive, shrink. And we're not like that. At least Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, no
Oh,
somos
Panamanians either. No, no,
yeah,
no, no.
no, we're loud. We're loud, right? And so, yes, I know when to be quiet and all that, but I also know how to invite someone to dinner that I've never met and bring them into my home and feed them a meal like if they're my family.
Yeah.
And that's something that has to do with our culture,
Oh my God, I have
right?
cheese everywhere.
Isn't
Yes.
that the truth though, Carmen? Like how many times, like when I was a kid, I'd go out with my mom to Walmart, or not even Walmart because that didn't exist right then, Pueblo in Puerto Rico. And she'd be like, ay, ven pa casa, vamos a comer empanada. We didn't know them, and they'd end up at my house, and I'd be calling them Titi within a month. Like, what? What is that?
You know what's funny is because, like you, the earlier part of my career, I thought I needed to fit in, right? So I was taming the sassiness,
Mhm.
which is very hard to tame. Trust me. Uh, but then I realized that my superpower was that. And
Mhm.
I'm a hugger, right? Like I'm a hugger. When I meet you, no, not if, when I meet you in person, I'm gonna give you like the biggest hug, really. Um, and this happened. Like I was I was the director of a nonprofit dedicated to educate and empower Latinos in Alaska, and I was the MC for this huge event we did at the museum, and so we invited the mayor, and so I had met her like 2 weeks before at a gala that I also did all the fundraising for. And so by the second time, I feel like I know this woman, right? Like I had her personal cell phone, and so I'm hugging her husband, and then I'm like, I can, she's a white lady, and she was like, taken by my um
You're warm.
yes. And now I'm like, oh, she get over it. Like, so here I am. Like, there's pictures of me just like hugging the mayor of town. And it's like, yeah, that's what we do. And that's the warmth that I think makes a difference, right? Like, she's never gonna forget who Carmen is, right? Like, I'm sure I can call her tomorrow. It's like, oh, I'm Carmen. Remember, I hugged you and you were very uncomfortable with it.
Remember that awkward moment? For you, not for me. I was fine.
Right? But also at work, we have HR and we have to keep an arm away and
Of
all this
course,
stuff.
yes.
But everyone who worked with me, for me, around me, knew I'm a respectful person. I will respect your boundaries and whatnot, but
Sure.
I am a hugger. And nobody, maybe not at the office, obviously, every day, like, dos besos en la mejilla, but outside, like I see anyone that I work with. I mean, you work 8 hours a day with a person, I will create those connections, and I can see how that transform businesses,
It
transform
does, yeah.
careers, because it's just you. Now, don't fake it if you're not the hugger type, right? Like,
Right. Oh, 100%. Like, I think it's about being your authentic self, but it's so hard to be our authentic selves when we are, let's say, children of immigrants or people of color, or just Latinas, right? That we come from a different culture. We went to school and, well, I didn't because I grew up in Puerto Rico. I ate arroz con gandules for lunch.
oh yeah,
But
me too.
if
I
you're
love.
raised in if you're raised in the United States and you're Latina or Latino, you might go to school, eat a PB&J, but then you go home and you're eating like habichuelas, tortillas,
Mhm,
pan dulce, whatever. And
mhm,
it's like your home is a different country almost than the lunchrooms that you sat in,
mhm.
right? And it's for someone like me, like I moved here when I was 18. Immediately, I learned to sit on my hands. When I went up to people, I tried to remember they don't kiss on the cheek, right? And things like that. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that it is literally your superpower. Like being your authentic self is your superpower. I have not walked into a room, walked out, and people don't remember me.
Yeah.
Like, I know that sounds ballsy and cocky, but guess what? It's the truth. It's the truth. I am memorable because I am authentically myself,
Yeah.
you know?
And there's one example I remembering. So in one of my roles, in the last company I worked for, I negotiated a huge deal, like $340 million, not as a salesperson, but between the two companies. And I had all these guys before me trying to get the deal. And of course, they were going golfing and doing all the things and the drinks and whatnot. And I wanted to get it. Like, this was a promotion pad for me. I'm like, I need
Okay,
to do it, right?
awesome.
And so I started noticing there was a lady in the other company who had my same rank. So we were both directors, no VPs by that time. And and nobody was paying attention to her. The same one, no one was paying attention to me because it was the boys, right? The boys
Yeah.
club. Like I will wiggle myself into the golf course and the happy hours because I'm bold, but like most women don't do that. And so anyway, so I became best friends with this lady, like to this day. She's also gonna know who I'm talking about. And I knew, but authentically, what she likes, who are, her kids' names, her dogs' names,
Mhm.
And every time we went to this conference, we hung out because the boys were doing their thing and the girls were doing their thing. So we go in karaoke. I taught her how to dance salsa. I mean,
I love it.
and so we became good friends. And eventually I said, hey, can we actually talk about this deal? And so, because they didn't even want to talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm. We're just enjoying the fruits of like the maybe
Right.
yes.
Yes, right. So we talked about the deal and we made it a win-win. And she presented to her boss, and I presented to my boss, and that was it. And it was sounded, we signed a $340 million contract between these two companies. And so,
Oh my gosh.
because I didn't hide,
Who
who I was.
you were authentically yourself. You were creating a true, authentic relationship.
Yeah.
And it's like you said earlier, if you go in just for the sale and you're just going to sell to someone, it's not going to be authentic. I'm not telling you to be someone you're not, right? But if you're Latina,
Mhm.
no te escondas, está bien, do not hide. You are okay being you. You are okay showing your authentic self. Of course, have decorum and boardrooms and things like that. But if you're showing up as yourself, right, and you're making true connections, the sales will come so much faster than your competition.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes. So let's talk about. So I believe that one of the core parts of leadership is mentorship. So
Mhm.
let's talk about what advice can you give a Latina who is just starting out, in this field that you're such an expert, sales and leadership, and maybe she feels like, oh my God, I just need to prove myself. I need to do it this way or that way. What would be like a core piece of advice that you give one of us, like
So
a long
let's say
time
they
ago?
were going into if they're going into medical sales, which is where I have the most of my experience, right? I went into
Mhm.
hospitals, I helped doctors with surgeries, and there's more and more women going into that field. Very lucrative field, by the way. If you don't know about it, look it up. If you're young, get into it. So I would say, like I said, really building a network where no matter what company you go to, that network will help you. So I think
Mhm.
that really helped me when I started at Cook Medical. I
Mhm.
made relationships with gastroenterologists that are still strong today. Heck, my dad was in the hospital for a month, and the gastroenterologist that I helped years and years ago, I
Mhm.
called them. They texted me right away. They call me. Actually, I texted a doctor, Dr. Sandeep Patel. I'll say his whole name because he's amazing. I texted him, and he's a very well-known doctor in San Antonio, Texas. He called me immediately. Literally, I texted him, and 2 minutes later, that man was on the phone with me.
Yeah.
That is a network that matters,
Mhm.
right? If you can't say those things, if you don't have them like that, en tu mano como amigo, que te debe un favor,
Right.
that's not a network. That's not
Yeah.
that's an acquaintance, baby. That's not getting you anywhere. So if
Mhm.
you're starting out in sales, build a meaningful network. And you know what that means? Be brave and reach out to the female leader that looks like you,
Yeah.
because you'll learn what she did and didn't do, and she'll tell you her mistakes so you don't make them. We
Mhm.
want to see you succeed, right? I
Yeah.
had a young woman, she's African American, and she worked for me at my restaurant. I own a restaurant. It's called Bahama Bucks. It's on Bandera Road here in San Antonio. It's shaved
Wow.
ice. It's
I'm gonna go.
so nice.
I'm gonna go visit and eat.
It's so good. Best. So Janine, she went, graduated from high school, still worked for us, went to college here locally, got her master's degree, and was looking at other jobs and whatnot, and was really trying to be a PA. Couldn't get into PA school. And I told her, Janine, I see something in you. You should be in sales. Come on, I've managed you for years at this restaurant. Like, I know you should be in sales. She would not listen for years and years and years, until almost 2 years ago, where she said, I'm ready. I'm ready. And so I sent her all these places that she could apply to and connections I had, and she got a job. And she's at the top of her game now for the
Oh
first time
wow.
in medical sales. And she's now, I'm not going to say much, but she's looking at a pivot, right? And it's the smart thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to pivot sometimes in sales, so that you can go to a bigger position, more money, whatever. But for me, it's about listen to your elders. Like if somebody is telling you, I really see this for
Your
you.
elders. You're not talking about you, right?
Well, not me. Yo tengo como 30. Not me. I'm like 30. But do you know what I mean? Like if you have another woman that sees something in you and you know that they're committed to you, listen, because she wasted years. And maybe they weren't. She could have learned other things during that time. Maybe she wasn't ready for that job and now she is. But I'm
Yeah.
so excited that Janine is in medical sales. We need more women that look like us in medical sales and in leadership. And she said, my pathway is to a CEO. My pathway is to a CEO. And I said, that's the way to think. That's the way to do it. And I didn't have that mentality. So if you're
Yeah.
starting out, it's about connecting with other women who look like you, because they've been on that road. And if they're good women, they're going to tell you what to avoid, because your success is our success. It truly
Yes.
is.
And I want to add, because like we're talking about sales, and in my positions, I work, I was the buyer, right? And so, but I
Mhm.
can remember very clearly two amazing sales reps that we had for stuff, and I'm talking about like millions of dollars of recurring revenue of things that we need to buy. I work for a telecom, so this is like never ending building cell phone towers, right? um and there were two of them, and they were not Latinas, but they were not Americans. And again, we're not discriminating about anyone, but
No, no.
what I wanted to say is that one is white as white bread because she's Swedish, and the other one is Asian. And what I understand, and we're actually friends. Like, I have their phone numbers. I've been at their house. They've been at my house. That kind
Nice.
of relationship, right?
Yeah.
Um, we were all different in our own way.
Hmm.
And they also had that warmth, not the Latino warmth, but their own warmth, where I felt comfortable to saying, after happy hours, like, you want to go over and have another glass of wine to my house?
Hmm.
And before we know it, we had a business review next day, and we were both like, oh my God, we have you know but the point is that the connection, right? And so sometimes because unfortunately we are not the majority in these fields yet, but sometimes you're not going to find someone who looks or sounds like us, that has an accent, or might have the same programming that us Latinas have, because we have a lot of that. We have to work in the mindset, but
Hmm.
maybe find someone else that is also willing to support you because they also feel different.
Yeah, I think it's so important to have what I call like a board of directors.
Mm.
I know somebody calls it Allison. She's the CEO of Chief, a networking group I'm part of, and she calls it your kitchen cabinet, like what's in your kitchen cabinet. So for me, it's a board of directors, right? Who's on your board of directors? And make sure your board of directors is multicultural, right? Have somebody that's a white woman that probably doesn't
Mhm.
have any of the same life experiences as you. Have
Mhm.
someone that's a brown woman. Have someone that's a man. Have a variety of people, right? But know that lived experiences that are the same are probably going to lie within someone that looks like you and comes from the same place as you. And if they've already succeeded, they're going to help you. They should help you. And if they don't, we don't claim them.
We look the other way. Yeah, I was just mentioning that because I, unfortunately, throughout my career, and I guess I live in Alaska and all that, and I work in a male-dominated industry, there was nobody like me. That's what I was,
I'm
the
sure
first
not. Yeah.
vice president in the company, because there was nobody like me. And then when I made it, it was my duty. I mean, I self-imposed and with all my heart to help las otras Latinas que venían
Claro.
detrás de mí.
Dale la mano para traerlas para arriba, you know?
Always, because we gotta rise together.
Well, and I
So,
think it's so important. Like, I have a master's degree, right? And I put the
mhm,
MBA after.
mhm,
That's 8%.
yeah,
8% of
mhm.
MBAs, of masters, is Latinas.
Mm,
Only 8, right?
I didn't
I
know that.
found out recently only 1% are PhDs.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm starting school again,
Yay!
because we're not going to change the percentage unless we take the initiative to go
Yeah,
back to school, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm starting school again this summer. I'm taking some prerequisites. And I think it's so important, right? Like, one person isn't going to change it. But if
Mhm.
we all make little
We'll
changes and we'll
get
help,
there.
right? If we help the women coming up and the men coming up that look and act like us, we will be part of that percentage that's a double digit. And we should, because leadership and PhDs, we need people that are diverse. We
Yeah.
shouldn't all look the same at the top, because that means we can't represent the customer base. Because trust me, America is not one dimensional.
Well,
America, the
absolutely not.
United States is very multidimensional when it comes to what people look like and their cultures and things like that.
And when people went crazy on my second TEDx, when I quoted, I mean, I found the statistic, right? By the year 2030, Latinos are going to be the 30% of the workforce in the United States. And yeah, that was like, I still have chills because I remember everyone was standing, it was standing ovation, because it's true, right? I
Mhm.
obviously was inspired by it. So my tone of voice was commanding to that. But it's true. We are going to be large enough that
Mhm.
we're not going to have the excuse of like, oh, it's just two of us.
Hmm. Exactly. And
Yeah,
with every two or every one that's there, we should bring up five. Vamos,
absolutely.
let's bring them up and remind them that their authenticity and their roots can be the differentiator between them and somebody else, right?
Yes.
And it's all about, like I said, being your authentic self. And if you're Latina, it really means it. Like, use that culture that your abuela raised you with and your mom. Like, I'll never forget, we went to Puerto Rico, me and my youngest son, Alejandro. I had told the kids, whoever wants to go to Puerto Rico, you got to learn Spanish, or I'm not taking you. And Ale was the only one that learned Spanish. And so I took him to Puerto Rico. We got to Walmart, because now there's Walmarts there. We get in an elevator, Carmen. Escucha esto. The door's open. We get in. Hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué estás haciendo hoy? Someone says to me, yo, oh, nada, estoy aquí con mi hijo, acabo de llegar de Estados Unidos visitando. Ah, ¿de dónde eres? Somebody else gets on. ¿Qué están haciendo todo el mundo? Mira que mi nene está enfermo y tengan cuidado. Like, we were talking, right? It wasn't like here where it's like, hey, how's it going? Good.
Bye.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? We're having conversations. So we get off of the elevator and I say, Ale, what did you feel there? Like, what was that like? And he goes, they're all like abuela. They're all like abuela.
Yeah.
They're really nice. They wake you their friend like right away. They're not shy. Like, and I'm like, yeah. And I said, could you think of them maybe inviting you to their house for dinner? And he's like, yeah, just like abuela does. Like, yes.
Vamos a comer mofongo.
Vamos a comer mofongo juntos. Vamos a ver, venga a mi casa. And it's like that. Don't lose that core of culture that comes from our ancestors. No lo pierdas, porque eso es magia, and you can use it. Like, I don't need to write a book about this, right? We shouldn't have to. We should just pour into the younger generation, remind them that culture that runs through your veins, it is your secret weapon. Use it.
Yes.
Use it.
Yes. I wanted to ask something that I mean, I don't know any of the other Latinas I have lined up for the podcast. I could actually ask this question because I don't know if they're in the same situation. But you and I both have kids with special needs.
Yes.
And I mean, I can see a lot of people saying, well, that's being dealt to me. Those are the cards that are in my destiny. Therefore, I cannot make it. But here are two examples of it doesn't matter what life deals you. I mean, you have other stories that if you want to talk about, but
Did
I
you
mean,
see my face when you said that they can't make it? I was like,
that's for me, that was one more reason to make it, right? Like, I have so many reasons. I need to teach my daughter is possible. And, like my son, my audience know my story, right? Like, I have a autistic son. I've been divorced 3 times. I'm not proud of it, but that has happened to me.
yeah.
And a whole lot of things, right? And so every time I get an obstacle, it's like, oh, I just need to jump higher. I just need to jump higher. So from at least the also having a kid with a disability, let's give them a little pet talk about
I think that the odds are against us, right? Like, we're born women and the odds are against us immediately, at least in the USA, right? And in most countries, right? The system is built against us. And then if you're a person of color, you're really adding insult to injury, right? Because it's like the world's against you even more. But the truth of the matter is, and this is, somebody told me this, it was actually a woman from the United States who was raised with only boys. She said, most of the time when you walk into a room, you're meant to be there and you're actually smarter than half the people that are there too. You just don't realize it because people kept on telling you that you weren't worth it because you were a girl. And that's not the truth. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And by the way, didn't know her, saw her on a call. She was a CEO of a company, reached out to her, said, I want to learn more from you. Bam. Now I know her, right? So what I would say is that every time a wall comes up, because I see them different, like you said, I just have to jump higher. I barrel through, like I go like a torpedo through. And so nothing is an excuse for you not to be successful. I'll tell you 2 quick things. Number 1, my father was an executive for many, many years. He's still alive. He's 84. He lives a mile away. I love my mom and dad. My father had a really nice office growing up. He was an executive. I would go into that office every day and he had a little folder, like a manila folder, like the kind that you open like a file, that old kind. And it said The Secret to Success. And I wanted to open it all the time. And my dad would not allow me to open it. He said, you're not ready. You're not ready. And I'm like, okay. So one year, I was like 15 years old. I wanted to open it again. And he said, okay, you're ready. Imagine my disappointment when I opened it and it had 2 words: hard work. Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? Es un chiste. Eso no es un secreto. And he said, exactly. But now that you have no excuse not to succeed, Trudy. And I'll never, ever forget that flippin' file thing that just in a heart. I was so disappointed. I thought it was going to be a trick. And I was like, it's a trick to become a millionaire. No, it's hard work. And so I think that really shaped me so that when I married my husband and found out 2 years later that he would eventually go blind because he had a genetic disorder, I barreled through that wall and knew I would have to be the primary caregiver or the primary provider, right? And caregiver. Then we decided we're going to adopt children out of foster care. We want a big family, but we want to be like environmentally responsible. We don't need to have kids. We can adopt them out of foster care. They're kids in need. So I have, a 24-year-old son in the Navy. He's in Japan. And then I have a 19-year-old son that's a little bit developmentally delayed, was born addicted to drugs. I have an 18-year-old son. He starts at college this year. He just graduated and he's autistic. He also has POTS and median arcuate ligament syndrome. And I have my youngest. And then I have Toby, who's blind. Like, give me a break. Yes. Right? Like, tell me, llórame como que tú no puedes. Dime como que tú no puedes. Porque yo pude. Right? Like I have a husband that went blind. He's also partially deaf. I have my kid that's autistic who is running away from home all the time. And he would jump out of cars. Jack would jump out of cars when he was stressed about going places while we were driving. Like the amount of stress in my life, but yet I continued to be a provider, not just in money, but in giving my culture to my kids, giving my love to them and to my husband. And so and the thing is, it's all about mentality. And we're Latino. We have conquered people. We have become free in our countries from colonization and things like that. And so I'm like, sometimes, but, and so we have to dig deep and get that from our descendants as well. And realize like when the wall is put up, baby, barrel through and make a door. Like what?
Right. Yes.
It's really the reason. And I feel like I've been a good parent. That my son's on the spectrum. We never thought he'd go to college and he's going to college. And, it's just amazing to me, the things that are capable when you pour into your children, right? That anything is possible. Work really hard. Surround yourself with people that will cheer with you and help lift you up. Surround yourself with people that will talk about you when you're not in the room. That's a big one, right? That they'll talk about you when you're not there. That's the kind of network and friendships you want to build. And I think I've done a decent job, and I think that there's no excuse. There really is no excuse. And the moment you find an excuse, sit back and think, why am I making this excuse?
Right. What am I going to protect?
Am I afraid of what's to come past the door? Is it because of people that are behind the other doors that I already went through that make me feel that way? Right? They're going to say things about you. Let them. Who cares? Right? That new book by Mel Robbins, I think their name is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let them keep on moving forward. Keep your eyes on the prize. Everything else, gravy. Doesn't matter.
Hermana, that's a mic drop right there. I feel like Sunday preach.
Dale, hallelujah, gloria.
Oh my God. I have loved this conversation so much. And I know that you and I can talk for hours, days.
I know.
So we can do it in person. Because, yes, I just...
Van a haber problemas when we're in person. I just know it.
No. We're going to make the world a better place. Happier place.
Yes, yes.
But I love, thank you so much for being in the podcast, being the first of the Latinas. They're gonna change history here. Where can people connect with you? Because you're such an inspiration. I would have loved to have you as a mentor, and just like bask in your energy. Now
I love to mentor people. I'll tell you that. I love to mentor people.
Yes. So is a LinkedIn a good place to connect with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn. It's under Trudy Castillo Leal, because that's my maiden name.
I will put the link in the show notes so people can reach out.
Okay. And then I also am the CEO of a consulting company. I do consulting just for sales, mainly. Like it's just for sales and how you want to up your sales game and how to build up your pipeline. It's what I'm good at. And I actually only started doing it because another Dominican woman had a conversation with me. We randomly met. We said, let's have a conversation. And she's the reason. Kat. that I said, and she owns Afternoon Culture, but I said, I don't think I'm good at this. She said, are you kidding me? You've taught me so much about sales. You should teach other people. So I started saying, okay, I'm going to do my consulting company for real. And it's
Yeah.
called Loyal Castle Consulting. And I think it's so cool because my name is Trudy Castillo Leal, which is literally
Castle.
Loyal Castle.
Oh my God. That's so
Isn't
fun.
it so cool?
I love it.
Yeah, Castillo
Yeah.
Leal.
Oh my
So
God.
that's where they can find me. LinkedIn is the best place.
So I gotta tell you something.
Yeah.
My mother's maiden name, which in Panama es mi segundo last name, porque aquí
Yeah.
en la, es Castillo. So
Somos primas.
somos primas.
I love it. I didn't know
Entonces,
that.
Paredes Castillo.
I
Las Paredes
love that.
Castillo.
Oh my
How
gosh.
much how much jokes were about that, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
strong,
that's true. Paredes Castillo. No podían entrar en el castillo porque estaban las paredes.
right? Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That
Yes.
was the whole joke in school. But hey, they're strong walls and they are built to last.
That's right. I love that. I love that.
So Trudy, thank you so